Hello friends, my name is Brian, this is Football Manager 22, and we're back in Malia. Year 8 has begun. Opening in on the club info screen, and as you can see over here on the right, Malia Stadium is now open. 31,512 seats in Malia on the African continent, an exclave of Spain. Interesting, looking at favorite personnel, I'm still sitting there. Iker Hernandez remains for our ascent up the ladder. Charles Abbey, who has been mostly a super sub for us, more than a true starter, though. I mean, yeah, in his first year with us, he started 18 games, but after that, it's 11 with 15 substitute appearances, and evenly 13 starts and 13 sub appearances last year is somehow a favored personnel. They just like his personality. Javier Martinez is actually the current president of the club, and he gets to ride on my back up to be favored personnel. You'd think I'd push a little higher by now. So let's move over to the club vision screen. How are we expected to do this year? The club culture is the same. And as always, when do they ever ask you not to work within payroll budget? I mean, seems like something that's always on the list. We are expected to make the quarterfinals of the Europa Conference League, which is pretty reasonable given the lower competition level. We are expected to mid-table La Liga again, not even necessarily have to make European football. And we need to make the fourth round of the Copa del Rey. We've also requested training facilities improvement, and they will be finished in early November. And this might push them to world class, or maybe there's still another level. I don't know. But either way, we're getting close to the best training facilities we can, and that's good. That's important. We keep signing young players, and we need the best facilities we can to develop these young players, so that we can sell the ones who don't quite make it, and the ones who do are amazing, because we don't exactly have the biggest pool of players to work with, or the largest amount of money. Yep. What the heck? Sorry, I just had something pop up on the side of the screen. Looks like my internet was going fuzzy, but everything with the recording seems going fine, so whatever. Let's go into the transfer section. And it hasn't been a very interesting year, I guess. Starting 7-1, we brought in Aristide Kone from ASEC Mimosas, our favorite Ivorian Coast club. 2-star potential, 5-star, but 2-star current ability, 5-star potential ability, 4 and a potential 5th. 13 pace, 14 acceleration, good dribbling and finishing. Left-footed, plays on the right, so he's an inside forward on the right. 10 passing, altogether solid player. Only 5'5", it's not exactly tall, so only 5 jumping reach. Resilience, a decent personality with 16 determination. Does he have what sort of unflappable? That's probably a pretty good media handling style. So he's probably going to spend, we paid him cheaply. He's probably going to spend at least the first half of the year, if not the full year, in the U19 side, working with them. And then we'll see about bringing him up either at the halfway mark or at year end and integrating into the starting team then. He, needs to learn Spanish. Well, he's very fluent for some reason. Did he just learn it that quickly? Did he, it's close enough to the French that, I don't know. We brought in a Sergei Kone. Depends how you choose to put that emphasis. From Betis Deportivo, a Spanish side. He was able to come in younger. 1.5-star current ability, 4-star, 5-star potential ability. He's Kenyan, but again came out of the Spanish system here, out of Real Betis's system. We only had to pay 1.5 for him, for that kind of player. Now there's about 1.2 on contract, but he's a striker. 15 pace, 15 acceleration, 15 dribbling, 15 finishing. 12 first touch, 11 composure, only 9 passing. So he's maybe more of a poacher than a distributor. But it looks like he's going to be able to score some goals. And at just 17, he basically has to go into the U18 side, despite the fact that he, on the other hand, is earning a very legitimate wage. Over here, we can see we sold Musa Michael to West Brom for $3.6 million. Is a reasonable fee for him at this point. He had stopped developing. He's a good player, but by no means a essential player, and had gotten a little whiny. We loaned out some of our players we're still hoping to develop. We sold Ali Masengi for $400K, which I was very happy to get that much for him. Sold Tunde Ndubusi, loaned out Friday Anthony. We let Paul Bayeste go on a free. So we are now, for the first time in the game, finally, year 8, we have an all African side. We do not have any legacy players on the team anymore. So Seydou Ndaya is our new backup goalkeeper. 18 caps from the Senegalese national team. 6'5", bit of a towering player. Wish he had a better personality. Balance is fine though. He spent last year playing mostly with Tenerife B in the 4th tier, where he was a very good goalie in the 4th tier. The year before, he had spent playing for Tenerife in the 2nd tier, where he was a pretty average goalie. So he's clearly not... we're clearly in trouble if he has to start for us, but goalies are generally pretty indestructible. So I was happy to get a veteran goalkeeper who speaks Spanish, who was willing to accept just the minimum salary. Yeah. And then we had some injury issues. Both Enzo Boyamo and Frederic Ananu are out with injury. Ananu is just getting back from injury, though he's currently unregistered. Boyamo will be out for another 2 months, possibly. Torn calf. Pretty nasty. So, Ananu's our backup right back. Boyamo's our backup left back. We have a little coverage at right back, since Hamidi can play backup right back. But we don't really have coverage at backup left back. I tried to make a deal for... and it's not here, because it was a while ago. But I tried to make a deal for a player... let's see if I can find him. Short list. Left backs. Yes, for Armel Malambo. From Mönchengladbach. He is of German nationality, but of Democratic Republic of the Congo descent. 2-star current ability, 4-star potential ability, 19 years old. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's someone we can develop up into a true 4-star potential. His physical abilities are very, very good. His technicals are okay, and his mentals are hit and miss. 16 teamwork and 15 work rate are very nice, though. Positioning only a 10, though. Yeah. And, this transfer value they list here is like $375K to $3.8 million. I'm like, okay, if I can get him at even the high end of that range, I'll be happy to do it for $3.8 million for a guy who I think has potential to really develop into an actual starter for the team, theoretically, in the future. And I go in and I start making, I make an inquiry, and they go, no, we want $8 million. Like, okay, they don't really want to sell this guy. And they're insisting on making a profit. So I moved it down to 3.8 straight up, and another 2.2 in clauses. And they're like, yeah, okay, 5 million and 2.2 in clauses. And we did the dance trying to move it back and forth, and we did it twice. And so it's like, okay, I'd moved it to 4.4 in clauses, and they'd moved it to 4.7 in clauses. And so, okay, I'm like, all right, I'll move it to 4.5 and move one of those clauses up a tiny bit, and they'll, we'll be finally hit the middle, and they'll agree, they'll accept. And instead they went crazy. They were like, okay, well, to move that down, that last $200,000, instead, let's add another $2 million in clauses. Oh, and when we didn't have a percentage of next sale negotiated into the contract, suddenly they want 40% of the profit on the next sale, which... it's like, oh, for $100,000 straight up, you want $2 million in very likely clauses, and a huge chunk of the next money, when if I had just given you, an extra 200,000, that would have been off, and they won't go back to the old deal. So I called it off, and then 2 days later I call them back, and the offer is even worse, and it's just, I want to throttle them. So we did not do that. Omar Hadidi here is a left back for Lille. Unfortunately, they went 27 to 38 million, so that's just right off the table. Felix Agu's good, but he's old, so I'm not really looking, especially at $19 million. And then Christopher Walken-Demin is from Gabon, and also, this is going to be funny, when I click on his picture and show you what he looks like to you. Yeah, he's Asian. And you go, what? And, obviously this is using the Nugan face pack, so it layers a face over. So he's got his French nationality and Gabon. He's born in Gabon. But I checked. I checked the underlying information that says, that essentially assigns a race. It's the Asian indicator. So, what do you know? Christopher Walker-Demin is French, born in Gabon, and Asian. I don't know how we quite get here, but he's got a complicated back history that I wish we knew. So how are we doing? We are 2-0 in La Liga. Things are going pretty well there. And we are in the Europa Conference League quarterfinal. Sorry, not the quarterfinals. That's what our goal is. It's the finals of the qualifying rounds, which is where we were dropped in. We have to face Malmö, a Swedish side in the town of Malmö. FF. I don't know what particular acronym that stands for. And we beat them pretty badly at home 5-1 to open up the year. So as you can see, we played Celta out on the road, beat them 2-0. We beat Malmö 5-1, and then we beat Alaves at home 3-1. So we have Malmö here on the road for qualifying. Let's check the rules real quick. Goal differential, yeah. Sorry, I need to extra time if level, so it does not look like a way where goals apply. Good to know. We also have registration problems in that we need 4 homegrown players and 8 Action Alley homegrown players. We don't have those, so we have to leave like 3 or 4 spots blank on the roster, and so we're right at limit and had to leave someone off from the deep rotation. But that's where we're at. The schedule has us playing this game, and then tomorrow will be the draw for the group stage. So we are running out mostly our starting lineup here just to be sure. We've kind of done a rotational squad for the first 2 games. Sami Hamidia, Matsima, Sessignon in the back, Bamangida in the goal. Yusuf Gabua will move over there. Sao will play Metzala. Abby, Jajaje, and Kawio up top. Usually in the starting lineup, Traore would be on left wing, but he started our last 3 games, so Abby will rotate in over there. He's a little out of position. He's much more of an inside forward than a winger, but he has the positional flexibility to play out there. At least he has experience, even if he doesn't have quite all the tools. And here we are in Sweden. Looks like they're dialing up a 4-2-3-1. Interesting. So yeah, we didn't really make any moves in the summer transfer window. We just brought in the 1 loanee, some deep moves for the U18s that will affect the team either at the half-year mark or next year mark, depending on when we decide to pull the trigger on them. Both teams came in looking to make deals for both Kawio and Jajaje. Kawio, I want to say they offered 15 million. I'm like, no, 20, because that's his release clause, or 27, whatever it is. I said, and he was a little upset, but his was baffling. I understand Jajaje's, but I believe it was like Almeria who came in for Kawio, and I'm like, I guess maybe they're giving you a new contract, so they're going to give you more money, but I get. Like, we're killing them in the standings, so, like, they're just coming up to La Liga from La Liga 2, I think. Well, that was a good passing exchange, and, yeah, onside. It's not a great start for us. Hallberg in, Williamson, and 11, 17. Abbey maybe there? No. Gayabua from the center mid did not keep track of his defensive responsibilities there. Frustrating. Sessignon will take the corner for us. They easily headed away, but Sessignon going to be the first one there. So maybe more importantly is the winter window. Jajajay lays it forward for Kawio, unfortunately boots it over the net. I already have, I believe, I have one player for sure that I want to make a move on. He's just 17, isn't willing to move at 17, but most all these players will move at 18. So that's, always one of the interesting things, if players are underage, they're very loyal. There are certain mercenary players, and if you're within country, then maybe they're more willing to step up to bigger clubs, like how we got the kid from Betis Deportivo. It's kind of a side move in terms of prestige. We're right about Real Betis's level, but we were willing to pay him a considerable chunk of dough. Come on, JJ. We gotta land those. Interesting. We shouted sorry, jumping topics to what happened in the game. I gave an encouraging shout because we're down 1-0, but we're secretly up 5-2. So the players in their mind are going, oh, we're up 5-2, so why is he encouraging us like we're down 1-0? But Kawio evens it up and gives us, in this game, and gives us the 6-2 overall lead. Great run from him. Is it Charles Abbey who makes the pass? If so. Yeah, not a good initial pass, but it did put him into open space, and boom, there comes Kawio snaking in from the far side. So I guess I'm not touching the shouts button, because who knows what'll happen. Abby chests it back to Sammy. Sammy making a run to the end line. Doesn't really create space, but enough. Looking for Kawio on the back post. Heads it over the net. Anyways, so those moves, yeah. One of them is for a center back out of South Africa. So he's not willing to make a move now. And, theoretically there's no guarantee that he'd be willing to make a move when he turns 18. But, spoiler, he will. But he doesn't turn 18 until, literally the 2nd of January or something. So only just, right before the window. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. But I think he's a center back with real potential. And I think there's at least one other South African player that I'm keeping an eye on who might just be turning 18 for the winter window that I would like to scoop up as fast as I can, basically. I think it's good form if we can to get players like that in the winter window. Get them a half year here with the club. Let them develop with our top level training facilities and our pretty decent trainers. And also let them learn the language for a half year, and then hopefully the real top-notch ones can start getting integrated into the side already, and do what we're hoping to see from Jeffrey Santos and Theo Jim, who neither of us are playing this game, so you don't get to see their progress. But Santos has, I believe, 3 goals already on the year in La Liga play. He scored both of our goals in our first game and one of our 3 in the second. One of the goals in the first game, his first goal of the season, was actually really cheeky. He was just lurking back in the box as they tried to play a ball from the center back to the keeper, and he managed to race in from the side and just tap it enough wide that it slipped past the keeper. Time to make some changes. Who can play left wing? Anyone other than Traore? No, I guess it'll be Traore. We put in Victor, who is a U18 prospect, or he's not even U19 anymore. Now he's on the B team that doesn't play. Gayabua, sure. And looks like Hamidi, sure. So we will put in Riyadh for Hamidi, and we will put in Daniels for Gayabua. Did Jim get injured? It's certainly possible. Again, we are dealing with a minor injury crisis, which is partially why Victor's on the bench. Matsima intercepts, and, we're just pretty smooth sailing here. It's a nice, easy game to keep the video shorter, hopefully. Nothing... Guys, I don't need to see this kick about. Let's just move to the next clip. Especially if we're just going to kind of uglily pass it, turn it over on a terrible pass from JJ out to Kawio. Durovic back to Almqvist. Durovic. Silverberg finds Durovic on a good run then. But Babangida makes a diving save, and it looks like the ball went off of the woodwork. And, hey, that'll do it. Prevent a goal, not the game being over, unfortunately. Still another 5 minutes. I believe our next game is against Valencia at home, maybe Sevilla, someone of that tier. Not part of the big two, but part of the next 4 or 5 that I have to actually worry about. And, we are into the group stage. I think we made about $25,000 for our TV money here. It's not exactly impressive, but it's something. $50,000 over 2 legs. Let's see how much this game paid, if anything, other than that. 118K. All right, I'll take it. Send the assistant to do the press conference, as always. Ivory Coast, sure, of course. Their boss is in to look at our trio of Ivorian Coast players, and we get $3.5 million for just making the Conference League. And, yeah, Villarreal. Okay, it's on a road game as well. So the transfer window is here, so there is time. We could theoretically make changes. So team had come in for Kawio. I told him, no, I want the max money. Kawio wanted to move, but he was willing to go. Okay, well, I did sign that that deal, so yeah, I'll accept that. If they're paying me money to rent a player who is part of the B side, I am fine, even if I don't like him. Just get a tiny bit of money off the books. But we had Watford, I believe it was, came in for JJ, and they were offering 36. We've been seeded second in the draw here. Maybe even more. Um, 36 and maybe about another 6 in clauses, but I basically wanted the full freight, so they weren't willing to do that. We'd like to avoid Hoffenheim in particular here. It's a loaded league, so I think that they're more dangerous. Also, they've at least signed a couple of our players, so Revenge Story, which is probably why we will end up there. Too many W sounds. Club Brugge, Midtjylland, the Swiss sides are definitely decent, so it can be Celtic. I would definitely prefer to play Zorya or Sturm Graz if I could. Nope. Moldovan team. Trabzonspor from Turkey. Aston Villa going to Midtjylland. Limassol to Cyprus to Group D, and here it is. Called it. Storylines. This is where Isahaku Abdul Fatu is. So we will have that revenge storyline going. Fatu played 14 games for him last year, had a 6.95 rating, 1 goal, 2 assists. He did play in 9 continental games with another 3 off the bench. So it looks like he was their primary starter at his position of whatever tactic they use, a 4-2-3-1, where he plays on the right wing as an inverted forward or inside winger, but rotates a lot out during the Bundesliga. So yeah, that's a little annoying. All right, let's see. 2 Belarusian sides. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought I had that right. And that's North Macedonia, and that's Moldova. Okay. Who else we got? So we got a team from Northern Ireland, Romanian, Macedonian, Belarus. And it is Bate Borisov from Belarus. And then takes us into the last group. Israel, Czechia, Turkey, Austria, Norway, Georgia, Sweden, and Poland. And so we got. We could have Israel, we could have Turkey, we could have Georgia, or we could have Sweden. I'm going to say Sweden, trying to avenge the fallen Swede team we just beat. Nope. The toughest of the options, allegedly, Hapoel Beersheva from Israel. Interesting. And that's who we're at. We are Group E. Certainly Hoffenheim could be an issue. We have a lot of scouting coming in. I was busy scouting the youth teams of national teams, because that's where I do a lot of my scouting. So yeah, road trip to Villarreal, road trip to Almeria, road trip to Israel. That's a bit of a travel over our next three. We have to come home for Osasuna, then travel to Bilbao, home game against Betis, Real Betis, then a home game against Hoffenheim, road trip to Barcelona, home game against Real Madrid, neutral site against Bate. Interesting. Bate, for some reason, can't host their own games, because now we get a home game against Bate. Curious. Wonder why that is. Do they have a... I don't think we're going to be able to find it, but clearly something's happened here that means that, like, their stadium isn't big enough to meet requirements, and they have to go play in a nearby stadium that does. Possibly it. Stinks for them. But yeah, that's where we're at. We'll probably be back with this game against Hapoel Beersheva, the home game, in early December, to see how we done in the Europa Conference League Group E, and how we've done in La Liga up to that point. Hopefully things go well, and we continue our solid positioning. Right now we're one of two teams that went win-win to start the year. Us and Gijón. Who could have predicted? Barca's on 4 points and Real Madrid's on 3 points. Suck it, losers. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be back soon. We are getting into the holiday season somewhat soon, so, at some point in the future, things might get... I might be able to, take some time off, but not have responsibilities, and jam in a lot of games, a lot of time on the machine, and set things aside for the future, because then, come the holidays, I'm not going to be in front of the computer that much, and so there might be a gap there, but we'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for joining me. I'd love to hear from you, so please don't hesitate to leave a comment, and I hope you have a very lovely day. Goodbye.